One of the challenges facing the industry today is how to improve diversity. We clearly need to find ways to get more women interested in technology. My guest on the show shares her experience and what we can do to increase the number of women in the sector. That's on the interview segment. For now, we'll kick off the show with some tech news and updates. I am Chukwemeka Agbata, and this is Tech Trends.
As our digitally connected world continues to expand, the inherent vulnerabilities in the systems we rely on provide even greater opportunities for those who want to exploit them.
Every year, the month of March is designated the Women's History Month, a special time set aside to honor women and commemorate the impact they've made on society. And it's in that spirit that the U.S. Consulate General in Lagos is celebrating women in technology, digital inclusion, and leadership. The program, hosted by the American Corner at CC Hub, looks at how women can achieve an equal future in a COVID-19 world.
When young women have strong role models and strong mentors, they're more likely to prosper, both in leadership roles, in governance, in entrepreneurship, and technology, which of course we have found is absolutely critical during this pandemic, but also beyond this pandemic. We've seen reports during the last year of an astonishing spike in gender-based violence around the world. Women have lost more jobs than men, in part because of the burden of providing unpaid care to children, the elderly, the sick, as other schools and institutions close. Some estimates say that women have been set back by 10 years. But I'm not going to believe that, because I know that we can come back, we can regain our position, we can regain our progress as we work our way out of this pandemic.
The problem with gender inequality and all sorts of discrimination that comes that women suffer is a worldwide problem. And I have but just a few figures here very briefly, which are pretty shocking in their own, which you will know. It's that 35% of women have experienced gender-based violence once in their lives. And in some countries, this goes up to 70%, which is pretty shocking. Another figure, which is the first time I saw, also shocked me quite a bit, which is in 2020, less than 50% of women have paid jobs, which compares to 76% for men. Women represent 25% only of parliamentarians across the world, and women account for 80% of people displaced by the effects of climate change. This is a space to watch, because things are not likely to get better unless something positive is done about this.
Nigeria's tech sector may be rising, but it still has a sizable gender gap, and a lot more needs to be done to improve gender diversity to encourage more women to take up careers in tech.
There's still a lot more to do. We're not there yet. I mean, women and girls are largely underrepresented in the area of science, tech, engineering, and maths. There's a lot more we can do, but we need to keep having these conversations. We need to keep encouraging women. We need to keep encouraging girls to let them know that they can go into science field, tech fields. It is for everybody. It is for male, it is for female, it is for girls, it is for boys. It's a challenge. I know that. There are not a lot of women, and so we need role models. We need to look up to these role models, and we just need to take our place on the table. Just take that seat comfortably. No bias, nothing. There will be challenges, there will be people that push back, but we still need to keep fighting for our place on that table. And once we get there, we need to sit down comfortably and do all we can to sustain our positions there, and also drag other women along to make sure that we all get to sit at that table and maintain positions in leadership roles, in every sector that we find ourselves.
Female thought leaders share insight on how aspiring women in technology can build sustainable careers. Globally, there exists a gender gap in science and technology, with statistics from UNESCO's science report stating that women still account for 28% of engineering graduates and 40% of graduates in computer science and informatics. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, on average, Nigerian women make up 22% of similar statistics each year.
I'm Agberoge Emmanuel. I attend ABJ school. I'm 14 years and I am the eldest son of 4.
Creative teenager Emmanuel Agorioge is using recycled cardboard boxes to make his own robots. With drawing and painting as part of his hobbies, Emmanuel leverages his skills to make his artworks. Fourteen-year-old Emmanuel started out being creative with cardboards 5 years ago when he was just 9 years old. He says he gets his ideas from the internet by looking out for trends online. He also gets his inspiration from comic books and sometimes self-imagination.
I build characters like robots. I used carton, gum, and super glue to make these robots. I used poster color to paint the gun. I make my glue, that is my gum, which I used to bring together what I make them with polystyrene, a petrol. They don't cost a lot, maybe like 500 naira, 700 for me to make my gum.
Solely using cardboard, scissors, glue, and some other easily accessible materials, the teenager spends his leisure time developing his self-taught skills, sometimes with the help of his siblings. For Emmanuel, having a school to support other teenagers with skills like his will be a dream come true.
If I achieve my aim in future and what I want to become, I would like to build schools where young talent like me can improve on their skills and application. My advice for other young talents is that they should not give up on their talent, that they should try more and also face their studies. Try to face their talent and also face their studies together. Let me take you through how I build my characters. As you can see, I'm sketching what I want to make. I'm done with this now, and this is the character I made out of this. You can see the length from this place to this place is the same with this. You can see this is a Lamborghini car. The next I have to make these parts of the back view, and I sketch it out. I think of how I'm going to cut it. You can see I'm done with sketching part of the back view of my Lamborghini. Then I have to trace this on a carton, then I cut it out. This is one of what I've cut out. Then I'll put it in this place. I glue it, and this help make my Lamborghini.
Popular Nigerian robotics engineer Silas Adekule is a role model to Emmanuel. With the help of his supportive parents, Emmanuel Agorioge would also like to become one so he can bring his designs to life. When a team of clinic experts and engineers saw news of a severe ventilator shortage in Europe in late March and worried the same could happen in Singapore, especially with a supply crunch induced by international border shutdowns, they decided to build a ventilator locally. Using components that can be easily sourced and quickly manufactured in Singapore, they designed a prototype several months later. The prototype costs 7 times less than a conventional ventilator, but is still able to provide respiratory support for patients using both invasive and non-invasive ventilation methods. The researchers hope the ventilator, known as SG Inspire Singapore Invasive Non-Invasive Support for Effective Respiration, can help COVID-19 patients with milder symptoms breathe while freeing up conventional ventilators for more severe cases.
The fundamental basis of the ventilator is actually on a simple resuscitation bag. So this is the basis of the pump. The other components which we use at the time that we were designing this were all based on what was supplyable to Singapore in the short term and was available locally. So many of the components were actually those which we could obtain, which fulfilled the needs to achieve the performance we needed based on our clinicians' advice, but also were readily available for production in quantity if the need arose. The SG Inspire is designed to actually work without any high pressure gas supply. It can function off air or low pressure oxygen. The interface is also designed to be simple. So in pandemic situations and resource limited settings, it's not possible to have trained intensivists for every single machine tending to every patient. So in those situations, often people who are perhaps not trained in intensive care medicine have to take up some of that load. And this machine is designed so that it has a very simple interface and it's relatively easy to train people to use the basic functions.
Luckily, Chan's worst fear didn't materialize in Singapore, which has barely seen any local cases in recent weeks, but he envisions a wider use for the invention.
It's also obviously technology which actually helps to treat patients or protect patients. All of these have been catalyzed in this 1 year. Multiple kind of inventions or innovations have come about this year as a result of the situation.
Chan and his team have since refined their prototype and obtained approval from Singapore Health Services, which runs about half of the city-state's government clinics, to start user acceptability testing next month. Three tips to secure your online accounts. As platform owners create newer ways to better secure online accounts, so are hackers working hard to bypass such new efforts, and this creates an endless circle. However, all users of such online accounts have a role to play in ensuring that their accounts are safe while using those platforms. These tips will help you better to stay safe online. Add a mobile number to your accounts. Passwords alone are not exactly safe because there are a number of not too difficult ways to grab the passwords from millions of users almost at the same time. This is the reason most online platforms allow you to add your mobile number, which is designed to serve as a second layer of security in case your account gets hijacked or you lose your password for whatever reason. Suspicious apps and websites. Start by visiting your settings in order to review the apps and websites that have access to your account. You can revoke the access of an app that you find suspicious or of an app that you don't use. Remember, always stay clear of anything that looks remotely suspicious on internet. This includes certain applications on the official app stores and any other third-party app sites. Add pop-ups, spam and phishing mails. Do not click on anything you are unsure of the source. Regular change of passwords. It is important to change your passwords every 3 months or so. This is applicable to all your online accounts and it is for your own safety. Note, no password is 100% foolproof. It is possible to use a password that will make it a little harder for hackers to gain access to your online accounts.
Coming up is my chat with Uzo Uba, Commissions Manager, semicolon. Enjoy.
Despite significant growth in the number of women working in technology and IT roles, female representation in the sector has stalled over the last number of years. The number of women in important IT and technology roles has always been dramatically low than that of men. While employers are trying their utmost to employ more women in the sector, there seems to be a lack of women entering, which many say it's mainly due to IT and technology being deemed as a male-dominated subject to study at school. Though the tech industry is becoming more diverse and companies are creating resource groups to help them grow their diverse team, the gender gap is still an issue which needs tackling. We chat with Uzondo Aba, Communications Manager, semicolon, and she shares with us what she thinks we can do to increase the number of women in technology.
Obvious stereotypical challenges, it's that there are other factors that limit women who are interested in coming into the tech ecosystem, and then there are other factors that restrict women who are already in the tech ecosystem, but they find it a bit difficult to push career-wise, to grow career-wise, and to express themselves in that ecosystem. So a good example would be, say, Amina from Kaduna, that is really passionate about wanting to come to Lagos and probably learn how to program, but she's restricted. She won't be able to make the journey from Kaduna to Lagos because she's single, maybe her religion does not permit it, or her parents won't accept that huge transition. So what does she do? She stays back in Kaduna and then she thinks of what to do at the end of the day. On the flip side, it could be Joy in Lagos, but she's a mother of two and she's already working, and she's trying to find the balance, the work-life balance. How does she pick up her kids after school? How does she make sure they are well attended to? How does she balance her passion with tech with her responsibilities as a mom? So yeah, those are examples of the challenges that women in tech face.
Now, would you recommend setting kind of policies that would help address some of these challenges?
Well, I think organizations should start recognizing that these are challenges. So first of all, these challenges have to be identified. Then, of course, we have to create awareness for these challenges. And we also have to start preferring sustainable solutions to these challenges. So, for example, in the case of Amina from Kaduna, what if an organization that prides itself in teaching people how to code or hiring programmers, comes up with an accommodation structure for ladies that want to, make the move from one state to another. And on the other hand, as well, for mothers that have kids and they want to find that perfect work-life balance, it's not so much of a hassle to find a way to, say, create a creche in the building on the ground floor, so that Joy from Lagos can just dash out and pick up her two kids and keep them downstairs. There's surveillance, there's security, and she knows that, okay, yeah, my kids are safe, and she can go ahead with her work.
Now, also, some parents have expressed fears that I don't want my daughter or my daughters to do this because they might become a tomboy. What's your response to such fears?
First of all, why do we not need women in technology? Women are creators, women are very innovative, women are, labeled nurturers, right? So it's very essential that we find ourselves in every sector, every organization. Tech is just one of them. So it's also a way. I also envision a day when someone wakes up in the morning and she comes out and she says, "Oh, I'm the lead programmer in my department," and everyone's like, "Oh my God, oh fantastic!" No, I have the brains to do it. I can deliver. I'm good at what I do, and so I should just be there. So is it a negative thing to be a tomboy, or is it just another stereotype that has been created that that becomes a restriction for women that are actually passionate about what they want to do and can actually do those things properly? So when are we going to start breaking down these labels? When are we going to start rising above basic stereotypes and just letting people express themselves, explore, and actually contribute to the ecosystem, which will in turn contribute to the economy at the end of the day?
Do you think girls have enough role models in the industry that they can look up to?
They have role models, but again, just as scarce as the women in tech are, there's also some level of scarcity for role models in tech as well for women. So we have a few people like Nduka, the CEO of She Codes Africa. She's doing a fantastic job. And on a global scale, we have Sheryl Sandberg, the CEO of Facebook. So these are examples of women that are actually making impact in the tech ecosystem, you know, where they tell their stories of how they actually rose to where they are right now and the obstacles that they've had to overcome. So these are fantastic women, but, you know, we need to be able to name about 10 of them on the go, and I can't even name up to 10 people off the top of my head. So we definitely need much more role models, much more female role models in tech.
Now, what are you doing to make a difference?
What am I doing to be part of the solution? Well, in my role as a brand and communications manager in Semicolon, I definitely find myself trying to be the bridge for individuals, ladies especially, out there in the tech ecosystem and Semicolon as an organization. And it's when I interview these women and I find out that they have challenges. It's how do I walk them through these challenges? How do I use my role in Semicolon to influence uplifting the obstacles that they find themselves in? How do we make provisions as an organization to make these ladies come down and you know, join our program, join our training institution? And on the flip side, it's how do I manage the expectations of the married women as well? Because we have quite a number of married women in the facility as natives and of course as employees, as elders. So it's how do I insert myself between them and their needs and try to, you know, bridge that gap. So in my little way, it's what I do.
And are you succeeding?
Yes, I think I'm making good progress. We would have to ask some of them for how they feel about it, but I think I'm doing pretty all right.
Also, in your opinion, why do you think we need women in technology?
Yes, definitely. A good strategy would be to get girls to embrace them early enough, because by girls, we're talking about, say, ladies or girls, the age range of, say, 10 to 16, 10 to 18, thereabout. And this age range is their formative years. So when we actually try to encourage them, not force them, but encourage them to go down that route, it would definitely help with their decisions in future. And of course, the first thing is, do we even expose them to these things? Because typically, a young lady decides that she wants to go into tech when she's in her early 20s, and it's that she's already come out into the world and she's experienced all sorts of things. And then she knows, oh, tech is the way to go, or oh, I'm passionate about this, or oh, I see myself thriving in that. And 9 times out of 10, they definitely wish that they started sooner. But of course, because they still want to go down that route, they just take it up from there, and then, you know, they skyrocket to phenomenal heights. So of course, we should definitely start early. We should catch them young and, you know, propel them to that environment that they want to thrive in.
Finally, looking at the ecosystem in 5 years, what do you think would happen in terms of the number of women in technology?
Yes, there's going to be an influx of women in the tech ecosystem in 5 years. The numbers are growing now. The algorithms are showing that it's going to be really crazy. More women are getting into tech, more women are dominating the tech industry. And it's not just a technical aspect, it's not just a woman that wants to be a programmer, or a woman that wants to be a designer, or a woman that wants to be a software engineer. It's women that are occupying different roles, but in a tech organization. So yes, in about 5 years, we're going to be having a lot of female CEOs of tech organizations, COOs, and you know, all of those executive roles are going to be dominated by women. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be here for it.
Well, time will tell. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've been chatting with Uzo Uba, Communications Manager, Semicolon. I agree with her that ladies can be just as successful as guys in the industry, so we must do all we can to increase the number of women participating in the industry. And for the women already doing well in the industry, I encourage you to be more visible so that you can serve as a source of inspiration for more girls. We've come to the end of the show, but it doesn't end here. The conversation continues online. We are Tech Trends TV on social media. Also, you can watch the entire show on the Channels TV YouTube account or via cfablog.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.